Tyler. He, productive player for a long time. On top of that, he's a fantastic person, understands his role on the football team, understands the value he brings as a leader. Those are traits that we're looking at, as many of them as we can. He's still got some production left in him, I think, and still wants to play ball and still has the desire to try to play at a high level. So excited to have him. Haven't got a chance to be out there with him yet, obviously, but I think he's going to bring a veteran leadership to us and veteran play style, which will complement our group well at this point. I think when we're all together, we'll have a good mix of veterans and young players to develop.
How much
that we liked him enough to draft him, and now the next phase begins, and that's the acclimation and beginning points of learning a new offense and a new system, and where we can use them best and how they fit within that group. I think they're going to bring plenty of competition. The group's going to be competitive. I think we got a lot of guys that have skills that we can use. But both of those young players, like all the young players we have, they've got a lot of work ahead of them. There's a lot of things that got to get done between now and September, and then even past that, it doesn't ever stop. But those guys definitely have to earn their way through it. They're going to have to learn what to do and how to do it, and then when opportunities come to perform, they're going to have to perform. And I'm looking forward to getting them here and getting to know them and meet with them and see where they're at. But as far as those things go, we'll see. They'll have plenty of opportunities. How those reps get shaken out will sort of be determined by how they perform when given opportunities. That part of it's been thought out. We have a plan in place, and what that looks like is going to. We have some young players in the secondary that we're looking for some jumps. The corner position in particular. You can throw the nickel in there as well. All of that together to see how that shakes out. Got some young linebackers that we need to step up. Obviously, we added Cody to that group, but there's some young players that we need to see them improve and play better. And then obviously, anytime you can add more depth at either front, offensive line, defensive line, those are always things we're going to be looking for. That's never going to change. You never really ever feel like you've arrived at those spots because ultimately you still have the injuries are out there somewhere. It's just inevitable with the way the game is that you're going to have guys step up. So those spots, I think, are ones that we're kind of always looking at and looking for some young players to step up. And the receiver position is going to be really competitive, I think, from top to bottom with the veterans you brought in, with the young players that are coming in as well. So there's going to be some spots where young players are going to compete. There's going to be some spots where we're going to keep looking through all the process where those spots can be, and some of it's dependent on what's available, and some of it's going to be dependent on how guys play over the course of the spring and in the training camp. I think we're improved. I think anytime you add the caliber of player of Kevin Zeitler and the way he's played for as long as he's played at that level has been really impressive. And then you add Dan, who's started for 4 years as a left tackle, and now you got a second-year player in JC that I think has a ton of talent, and I think Pete's gotten better every year. You get Lloyd back when he's healthy. On paper, it looks like we're much improved, but again, we got to go do it. We'll see what it ultimately looks like, but I think we feel like we've improved the spot, and we should be in a better place than we were a year ago. But it's got to be obviously a lot better than it was a year ago.
Man, I was with the tight ends a lot of the time, a lot of the trips. I went to Costa Rica first. We had a little trip to Australia. From there, went to Japan, and then I had a little trip to the UK and then Brazil. So I got to get around this offseason. It was fun.
What was the highlight?
Man, I really enjoyed Japan just because Japan was like a trip I've always wanted to go on since a kid. So finally getting out there, and it was like everything I thought it was gonna be. So it was really cool. Oh, it's awesome. He just brings that element, of a dog. He just got a dog in that position. Everything, I've seen the video of the viral video of him and Shador training and stuff. And you just see the things he says, the way he carries himself. He just kind of has all the intangibles that you want in that position, and those are the things that really carries you in that position. Because that's the hardest position to play in the league, so you really got to have the mind for it.
Have you gotten to talk? Obviously, it's going to be new just because, I've been at the same place for 10 years, and now being able to go somewhere else it's a lot different. Like I said, you're looking at different faces, a lot of different coaches that I haven't had the chance to play with, different players. Some players I have played with, but for the most part, it can also be refreshing. The biggest thing that I think you battle with, that any player battles with, is just the comparison of, they did this here, or we do this here, and you pick and choose what you like or don't like. But the other thing is you just got to be able to buy in. I think Nashville is a great city, and it's been pretty cool so far. Like, the teammates are very welcoming, the coaches are very welcoming. Coming in OTAs, we've been installing a lot. So I tell you, it's been a lot, but it's been fun at the same time, learning everybody's names in the in treatment with the medical staff, been having great connections and conversations. Just went in the weight room with the weight staff, so it's been really good just within my first couple of days of being here from Monday to today. I was talking to Jim yesterday, and a lot of people didn't know this, but I actually grew up a Titans fan when I was younger. And I'm not just saying that. I actually went to the Titans versus Baltimore playoff game. It was my mom, my best friend Dante, and I want to say his mom as well. And we drove all the way up to Nashville, stayed over there by Vanderbilt, and we went to the game. So I was a fan of like Vince Young, fan of Finnegan. That was like one of my favorite cornerbacks to watch because he always got into a fight every single time. Linebacker was Bullock. You had Albert Haynesworth, who was nasty at the defensive tackle, and I even watched Britt at receiver. So, and the other person, you obviously can't forget Vince Young and Chris Johnson, but even Griffin. It was just fun. So ever since Vince Young got drafted, I was always trying to keep up with Tennessee and stuff, and that was pretty much after my dad ended up playing in the league. So when he was done, I started to navigate the Tennessee, and then after that, I just started watching more college. Quandre always used to talk to me about Cam ever since he was leaving Incarnate Word and went to Washington State, where I got the chance to be able to watch him. And if I didn't watch him, I heard about him the night before the game, because Quandre made sure to tell us his stats, how many touchdowns he threw, and definitely Quandre was like his #1 fan. And so just being able to tune in a lot more because we're on the West Coast and we got to see a lot of their games being played, and then seeing him thrive in Miami was super, super cool. And again, like just that connection with Quandre and Cam, I started to be able to learn more about him. And so ever since he's gotten drafted, Quandre put us in a group message, and I was able to talk to him and stuff like that, like the day before the draft. But he's definitely a cool dude, super eager, and he cares a lot about being great and cares a lot about football.
Brian, you go where you want it. I think that's the lead. You go where you want it. They wanted me here, so I came.
How you like the team, what's around you, and prospects moving forward?
Nice young pieces. Speaking for the DB room, where you got Jarvis, we've been watching a little bit of Jarvis as well, and then Snead. We already know what Snead's capable of. And then Avani, I've been watching him from afar. Then we got nice, I think they just drafted another safety as well, but nice young pieces. The defense is nice. Is nice young guys as well as some vets mixed in. So hopefully we can just mesh well. We take knowledge from everyone, whether it's from the older guys and from the newer guys, and then hopefully we can be productive.
Yeah, I think there is a time and place for everything. Obviously, I think there's some plays where I can get a little bit, more yards than I have, and I can definitely work on that. And there's times where you got to live to play another down, because in this game, it's about durability, it's about availability. The fastest that you're out, or the fastest that you can't practice, that's another man's opportunity. And when you really think about it, a lot of opportunities that come in the league come from somebody else's downfall. And so you want to be able to be as consistent as can be. You want to be able to show what you can do on the field, because it does get to a point of what have you done for me lately. And for me, I want to be able to play as many games as I can play. I want to be able to be injury-free, going out there and doing that type of stuff. But at the same time, there's knowledge of knowing when to do it and how to do it, and making sure you secure the first down, and making sure, because there's sometimes where, you could catch a slant and take it to the house, but on third down, well, if you catch a slant and try to take it out, they punch the ball out, it's incomplete, right? So there's times where you got to be able to know when to sacrifice and take that first down, and when to be able to get more yards, knowing that these guys now are getting stronger, faster, they're punching the ball out a lot more. So we always got to remember, to protect the ball is to be able to protect our livelihood.
Last one. I had this funny conversation at breakfast. I was like, all right, let's ask ChatGPT. It was like 100 Jeffrey Simmons versus one gorilla, and ChatGPT said he could do it. But I don't think it's possible, man. That gorilla, I don't think it's possible. The gorilla's gonna be using its teeth and everything else too. It's not just gonna be fighting you. It's gonna be ripping us to shreds, and then it's like the fear of like watching somebody get ripped to shreds. You ain't
So
gonna
you're
want
seeing
to
the
fight no more.
psychological factors.
Yeah, you ain't gonna want to fight no more. You're gonna want to run.
How many sweats would you feel confident in? Like how
I
many?
need 100, bro.
You need
I need all of them. Have one on each limb, and then everyone else is pile on top of them.
Talking about this question. Oh my God. From what I've learned about gorillas, I don't think so.
What have you learned about gorillas?
I like their skin or something is like more like thicker or something, and they're I don't know.
They can bench 840.
You change any?